trying to get at some of the little things that we can learn that people can implement in their daily life to help feel well.
Think about how long people spend at work. Why shouldn't it be enjoyable? Why shouldn't it be healthy?
Yeah, that's very much
Can we start with you telling me who you are and what is it that you do? Just in a nutshell.
in a nutshell. Okay, so my name is Stacey Parker. I am an organisational psychologist and an academic at UQ Psychology in Brisbane, Queensland. And as part of my role, I do a lot of research in the area of employee motivation and well-being. So studies to try to understand how people can work in a more sort of healthy way, so they can still be really productive and really enjoy their work and not get strained and burnt out by it.
What is it that motivates you to keep going? I know that right now it's it's difficult in varying degrees for people to do what they've been doing. What is it in general that motivates you about the work that you do, and what is it right now that you're drawing from personally?
I think more generally it's about sort of making discoveries, learning something new, maybe even discovering things that might be a bit paradoxical, that we might not have otherwise discovered unless we really asked the question and explored the idea. And, actually in the current context, for that side of my work, for that deep thinking side, it is actually thriving a little bit because being at home, not having as many distractions, this kind of thing, I have been really able to deep dive into some projects, thinking about things, writing things, designing things. Of course, all the research projects I had planned for 2020 with different employee groups and occupational groups were all on pause because of the virus. But I've also seen it as an opportunity to improve what we were going to do with them. So everything's being reworked, fine-tuned, pilot tested, reinterrogated. And I really think actually when we do get to run those studies, likely, next year, that they'll be much better for that, having a bit of a break and extra time to really develop them. And of course, I've had a lot of time to revisit old data sets and finish papers and things like that. So that's been really good, trying to look on the bright side and make the most of the situation.
I guess that's one of the things that I've always admired about you in our interactions, whenever we've had those interactions, is that there's the ability to reframe whatever it is that comes at you into something that is an opportunity. And I hear you speak, and I when you're talking about your research as well, there's this flavor of looking for, no matter how small, the opportunities that there are in change and challenge.
Yeah, I think that's really important part of building resilience, is being able to sort of look at something more as an opportunity to learn and develop and grow, rather than something that is a hindrance and going to get in the way. And I mean, obviously there's things that happen like a pandemic that are incredibly stressful, and
You couldn't have predicted it.
Yeah, and I feel very lucky to be in a situation in my work where I have job security. I know a lot of people don't have that, and also where I didn't happen to be teaching this semester when it hit. I have a lot of colleagues in the higher education sector that were incredibly impacted by overnight having to convert to online teaching for the first time in their career. So I feel very, very lucky to have not been, too severely impacted by it. And my partner and I don't have jobs that are, essential workers, so we can work from home and be quite safe and comfortable at home. So very, very lucky situation, which is a good basis from which to be able to, I completely acknowledge that that's a good basis from which to then be able to take the opportunity as a good opportunity, a learning opportunity. Yeah.
So, you know, I think I've mentioned to you before, but the work that we're doing at the moment is really heavily influenced by that notion of self-determination and the sorts of things that go into that. And one of those things is connectedness, and we're it's emerging as one of the things that we've got control over right now. How are you staying connected? How would you describe it for yourself?
Yeah, it's very challenging. I really felt it in the first fortnight of work from home. I really missed those corridor conversations. You know, when you run into your colleagues in the corridor, you can have a giggle at something or notice something or brief little bit of gossip or just a chat. And I really, really found quite quickly I really missed that. I'm in a really good workplace. UQ Psychology is such a great environment. And pretty much with after that first fortnight when everyone was adapting, and because everyone's psychologists and understand the importance of connection and staying that sense of belonging, that need to belong, and the importance of staying connected, they very quickly put a lot of strategies in place. So we started to have a weekly quarantine and quarantini Zoom session. And so anyone in any of the academic team in the school could dial in to have morning tea together on Monday mornings and to have a little drink together on Friday afternoons after work. And I think that really just straight away helped.
That's awesome. I read something the other day, and I got to admit I didn't explore it that much, but it was like how important gossip is, and gossip is really valuable right now. And I was thinking that is so interesting because, you know, the narrative around workplace gossip is it's damaging and unhelpful, but people forget the role it plays is in our relatedness with other people.
Absolutely. A colleague, I don't know if you met her, Kim Peters, who used to
Oh
be
yes,
our
yeah.
centre, but's just gone back to the Uni of Exeter. She researches the functional side of gossip as well, not just for feeling connected, but also that we get quite useful and important information about people's moral character and their competence as well, through this sort of workplace gossip. So it serves many purposes. And during this time when everything is so uncertain and we don't really know what's happening and things seem to be changing so quickly, that was really important to have those more social Zooms with people to be able to share the gossip and catch up and find out, what's going on with everything. Yeah.
How have you found your own research either shaping your perspective, or because we can't go through something as intense as research without it shaping our perspective on life in general, but how have you found it not just shaping your perspective on life, but also like how you're viewing how people are responding right now?
So one of the big things I've been thinking about in the wake of the coronavirus is that um, I think that it's forced us to adapt to working remotely and work from home, on a unprecedented scale. I'm really hoping that after COVID, many people who didn't have the opportunity to work from home previously, because workplaces thought, oh, we can't do that, we can't coordinate, it's not possible, we don't have the technology, etc., have seen that actually we can do it because we were forced to do it.
Yeah.
And then maybe it would be good for us to help enable our employees, to give them more flexibility, to let some people some time have a few extra sort of days where they can work from home, to avoid the terrible commute, to have some thinking time, deep thinking time for certain types of work, certain types of projects, to help integrate caring for kids or other things that need to happen at home. I just think that would be really, really valuable, and I really would hope to see that happen, because the business case for flexible work arrangements is there and has been there for a long time before COVID, but current thinking about being present and being in the workplace and being there has sort of stopped a lot of employers and organisations from allowing employees to have that opportunity, to have that option, to have that resource. I think there'd be certain types of jobs, obviously, essential workers, where that's the work happens at a particular location, like a hospital, that's not so possible. But also some types of work where it's very interdependent, where you do one part and you collaborate with someone else on that and you pass it on to them in real time. I think that sort of work, it's obviously very disruptive to have people out of the office, and it can be more difficult to coordinate and get done. So there's always going to be these sort of contextual considerations. But I would think that there's probably been a lot of jobs where it could have been done in the past and it hasn't, because of all those fears that people will slack off, or we won't be able to be monitoring them, or this, that, and the other. I think hopefully this experience has taught us that's not the case. I think quite often there's quite a pessimistic view of employees, the theory X, theory Y sort of approach, that they need to be controlled and monitored and surveilled. My research on employee motivation, the self-determination theory that you mentioned earlier, has mostly sort of revealed to me that most of the time people are seeking to be autonomously motivated in their work. They're seeking to be intrinsically motivated to do something of importance and value. They're proactive and they're seeking things out. They're not skiving off, or they're not needing to be controlled or monitored. It's sort of an innate human characteristic to be active and sort of striving for those sorts of opportunities and to have work that's fulfilling in that way.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how the world of work navigates almost like a new empowerment of employees. They now know what's possible. Having such a strong business case is a pretty hard thing to argue with, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, the research before COVID on flexible work had found on any any HR practice that helps people balance work and life. So flexible work, support for childcare services, all these types of work-life balance practices. They found it might not kind of directly reduce people's sense that work and life are in conflict, because that's a whole range of factors involved in the home environment as well as what the workplace can offer. But organisations that do offer these practices, whether the employees take them up or not, the employees feel more supported and cared for by their organisation, and that drives more positive job attitudes and more productivity, and it also attracts better talent. So there's definitely a business case there. And for those people that do take up the practices, the opportunities to have flexible work or other services to help better integrate work and life, they then do feel less like work and life is in conflict, and they also then have those more positive job attitudes and they're more productive. So certainly there is a business case there.